know what happens to people who come to my house? They end up dead. If Jon Jones wants us to try to take a side, if Jon Jones wants us to give him the benefit of the doubt, he has to give us something. He can't just say, oh, they were being unprofessional, they were breaking laws. Another day, another Jon Jones scandal. Guys, you guys know Jon Jones, one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time and the current heavyweight champion of the UFC. Jon Jones, though, however, throughout his career has had tons of controversies, right? From getting in a hit and run with a pregnant woman, to drinking and driving, to allegedly beating up his fiance. I mean, the guy has found himself in trouble time and time again, and it just seems like it's a situation where you gotta separate the artist with his art, and it sucks because Jon Jones is a talented fighter, but with all this stuff around him, it really taints his legacy. But he has gotten into new trouble, and this is a really big serious incident. Jon Jones apparently threatened a drug tester going to his home and apparently initially gave them problems about taking a drug test. Now, I want to break down this story, and before I get into it, I want you guys to know, like, first of all, if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you guys know I'm not a guy that likes to make assumptions. I'm not somebody that likes to accuse anybody of anything without any evidence. Even me, I don't like to answer questions when someone asks me, hey, do you think this fighter's on steroids, or is this fighter on steroids? At the end of the day, I don't want to give that stuff publicly because I don't care if I have 5 followers, 10 followers, 100 followers, 1,000 followers. I don't want anybody watching this and thinking, oh, what I'm saying is true, or make assumptions based on my own beliefs. Like, at the end of the day, these are just my thoughts, and I'm going to give my thoughts at the end of this video. So first of all, I'm going to present this unbiasedly and talk about, you know, the actual facts of the situation, side A and side B, and then we're going to take a look at both sides. I'm going to talk about my opinion. What do I think is true? What do I think should happen? Who's in the wrong? What should happen next? So we're going to get into all that right now. First, I want to remind you guys of the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. We're almost at 12K, guys. You guys are killing it with the support. Seriously, you guys have been commenting, liking, and all that. All I'm asking is just a little bit more, guys. Hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. It helps me so much, guys, because not only do I just want you guys to be notified for these videos, it also just helps me because the algorithm then pushes my videos to other people that like MMA, helping grow the channel, and we could all be happy. So guys, if you guys could just do that, I'd very much appreciate it. Also, hit the link in the description to join our Discord server so I could talk privately there with you guys. And like I said, we're gonna get into this now. Like I said, there's 2 sides to every story. We're gonna get into it right here. First of all, we're gonna start with the drug tester side of things. So this is an article from MMA Fighting, all right? This was first reported by a New Mexico news station, but I just feel like this article is just better. It's a little bit more cohesive and also gives a really good play-by-play of what happened in the times and everything like that. So let's get into this right now. A police report filed April 5th alleges that the incident took place on March 30th after the drug testing agent Crystal Martinez arrived at Jones's home. According to the police report, Martinez told authorities that she and her co-worker arrived at Jones's home at approximately 4 p.m. to retrieve a urine sample. Martinez reported that Jones was cooperative at first after she laid down her equipment on the table, which included her personal cell phone. Martinez claims that Jones and her co-worker went around the corner so he could give them a urine sample. When they returned, Martinez stated that her co-worker appeared nervous and said that Jon wasn't able to urinate. Martinez stated that she offered to take a blood sample instead. She said Jon appeared agitated and was tense and puffed up. She told police that Jones began asking them questions if they had money because he was going to sue them, and that's when she alleges the UFC fighter picked up her phone and started recording them. Police stated that the responding officer viewed the video wherein Jones stated something to the effect of, "Here's fucking Jerome and his girlfriend in my garage." The video cut off. Martinez alleged that Jones then put her phone into his pocket and got in her face, stating, "Why you fucking people come so early? Do you know what happens to people who come to my house? They end up dead." Whoa. So as you guys know, probably being fans of the UFC, right? The UFC has an independent drug testing agency that comes to the fighter's home randomly to test them for steroids just to make sure the sport is clean, and Jon Jones does have a history of testing positive for steroids. So I think that is why when people hear this story, it is very sus. Like, everybody's like, what the hell? You know, Jon Jones has had this problem in the past and you can't deny that. And at this point, they make Jon Jones pee to do the test. Jon Jones can't pee. He says, look, I can't pee. They offer to take a blood test, and apparently this is when he becomes agitated. Someone who would think Jon Jones is guilty in this situation would probably argue he probably was afraid of failing the test, right? That is what I think the assumption is. I'm not saying that's what I think that's what people are assuming, and it makes sense. I hate to be this guy, you know, when you mess up that many times, that's what people are going to assume. This isn't like a guy who's a clean athlete that has tested positive so many times. I know this is gonna sound like a weird example, but this isn't like a Leon Edwards, right? Where like people might see that and be like, oh, maybe he wasn't on steroids. There might be more to the story, and plus Leon Edwards does usually seem like a very solid guy. But this is a situation where Jon Jones has been accused of so many things in the past that, yeah, honestly, I don't blame people for believing this. I don't think this is a situation where people are at fault for thinking this is true. I don't blame them, and Jon Jones has to acknowledge that and say, look, my past is my past. I messed up in the past, so I can understand why you guys would think that. However, I'm innocent, and that's what I think you should try to do. But the more serious part about all this is him threatening to kill the girl, which if true is obviously crazy. Like, that is just wrong. Obviously, I don't have to explain that. But let's keep keep reading. Martinez told police she was terrified with Jones allegedly standing less than a foot away from her and wanted to terminate the test, but was afraid Jones might hit her, since UFC athletes face potential repercussions for not taking drug tests. Martinez said she wanted to call for help, but Jones still had her phone. She stated that Jones eventually agreed to take the urine test again and placed her phone back on the counter. Martinez said she grabbed it while Jones and her co-worker went back to the patio. Martinez stated that she texted her boss, identified in the report as Pearson Laughlin, that Jones was threatening her and that she could not talk to Laughlin over the phone because Jones could come back at any moment and she was afraid he would attack her if he saw her on the phone. I saw a report that apparently the boss that she was calling apparently was not really in favor of her going to the police and kind of was trying to get her to let it slide. Probably not so professional on his part. He's probably breaking some sort of labor laws there and also just some moral laws too, if we're going to be honest. But at the end of the day, that is her side of the story, and that might be true. We don't know. Now, of course, like I said, we're going to look at Jon Jones' side. Don't worry. Jon Jones brought up a statement. He showed some receipts. We're going to look at it right here and see how legit this thing is. So as you guys can see, Jon Jones on his Instagram put out a video and also put out a statement. We're going to look at the statement first, then we'll look at the video. I want to address reports about me allegedly threatening a drug tester's life and taking a phone. I want to clarify that there is video showing both drug testers leaving my home after the testing session, where we exchanged a high five and a hug. Although I was frustrated with the unprofessionalism and used profanity out of frustration, it ended friendly and amicably. Nothing threatening at all. I was actually celebrating a friend's birthday party at my home, and I believe it's perfectly normal to celebrate in the comfort of my own home. And when he says celebrate, I kind of take that as him kind of admitting to, you know, drinking, being drunk in the moment, without him explicitly saying, yeah, I was drunk in the moment. You know what I mean? Because yes, it's Jon Jones, so I think a lot of people assume from the story he might have been drinking alone. He's saying it was with a friend. I'm gonna get into my thoughts on that in a second, but let's continue reading the statement. I must say, this particular tester behaved quite unprofessionally and even breached standard protocol along with HIPAA laws. Throughout my 20 years of being subjected to drug tests, I have never encountered such an incident with a DCO officer before. So yeah, as you guys can see, Jon Jones himself, he's saying, look, at the end of the day, they were friendly. They did have a little bit of an altercation where apparently they broke some sort of rules. I'm gonna get into that in a second, but I want to talk about the video first. So he allegedly posted a video, you know, proving that they were all good when they were leaving the home and that maybe this whole thing is fake. Let's take a look here. So as we see, look, this is Jon Jones shirtless. And look, okay, so you see the drug testing lady, you know, she gives him a high five. Now, this is Crystal. Obviously, this is the girl that filed the report. I think it is interesting, in all fairness to Jon Jones, if we're going to go back. If you guys watch, she is the one that initiates his high five. You guys are about to see this right here. Yeah, look, she's the one that puts up the hand. He backs away. You know, this guy's going back in the car. I think he's going to his van. I'm not really sure. And yeah, then they walk away and Jon Jones gets back in the house, and that was the footage. So there's a lot to break down. First of all, about the whole Jon Jones thing, you know, like he said, apparently they showed up, they were breaking some laws. Apparently they showed up, were being very unprofessional, and they were breaking some HIPAA laws, which obviously is, you know, the laws that the doctors have to follow for privacy and just so they act morally. Apparently they broke some laws, and here's my problem with Jon Jones' testimony, what he's trying to say. If Jon Jones wants us to try to take his side, if Jon Jones wants us to give him the benefit of the doubt, he has to give us something. He can't just say, oh, they were being unprofessional, they were breaking laws. What laws did they break? How were they being unprofessional? Because Crystal has a report with the police. If we're going to be objective here, Jon Jones looks more guilty. Just right off the bat, Crystal is the one going to the police. Crystal wanted criminal charges put against Jon Jones, and that's important. This isn't a situation where maybe Crystal's looking for some money, looking to sue Jon Jones. No, she wanted him in criminal court, and this isn't a situation like, what would you really sue her for? I mean, emotional disturbance? Maybe if she files a lawsuit, you could argue and say maybe she just wants money from him, and that's why this whole thing is made up. But I just find it far-fetched that some random woman that works for this drug court would just make this all up. And let's just break down some of the things in Jon Jones' statement. First of all, he says he's at a friend's birthday party, right? That it's at his house, right? Apparently he has a friend over, it's his birthday, whatever, they're all celebrating. Yet the police report also didn't mention anybody else being there. And I'm not gonna say that this is proof that Jon Jones is lying or telling the truth or whatever it is. I'm just saying it definitely is interesting, and I think it's something that I'm looking forward to hearing. Like, can we ask the girl, hey, was there people over? Because if Crystal comes out and say, no, nobody was home, that's a pretty huge red flag of Jon Jones just to lie for no reason. So like I said, if we're gonna speak objectively, I think Jon Jones looks a little bit more guilty here. But at the end of the day, I think it could be a mixture of both. I do believe Jon Jones even did admit himself that he probably lost his temper. Maybe there was something that happened prior. Maybe they were acting unprofessional, but my point is I can't believe that until Jon Jones says, hey, this is what they were doing. They were doing X, Y, and Z. Here's the receipts. Here's the report. Give us your side of the story. Let us work with something. I find it a little bit odd that he is not saying anything because, I mean, what are you really gonna say? I don't know. I feel like this was a very rushed out statement. I mean, the report came out this morning and he pretty much responded to it right away. And it's just like I said, at the end of the day, Jon Jones has such a history that at this point, we've given him plenty of times to say, hey, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. When has given Jon Jones the benefit of the doubt really worked out. And I want to wrap this up by saying I love Jon Jones as a fighter, right? Jon Jones, when he's in the octagon, he has some of the best performances, some of the best shocking moments. Him submitting Cyril Gane was an insane moment that people just brush over. I'm a guy that has defended Jon Jones's legacy time and time again, but sadly, Jon Jones is someone that I love as a fighter and just as a fighter. I don't love him as a person because Jon Jones has shown time and time again to not be a good person. So I think before you guys jump on and defend Jon Jones, I think you guys have to look at his history and say, let's wait for some more facts to come out. And as for the high five thing, I mean, look guys, I live in New York City. Sometimes in a situation like that, especially where you're untrained, or someone is perhaps being violent to you, you're just trying to get out of this situation. You're trying to high five. I will say it is a little bit odd that she was the one that went for the high five, but you never know the context. All I'm trying to say is, Jon Jones, if you want us to believe you, come out with some facts. Let us know the details. You can't just leave us hanging like this. Before we wrap this up though, I want to read some of the top comments of the last video. I broke down my top 5 fights for UFC 300, the top 5 fights I am excited for. Here are the top comments of the last video. I don't know what the best fight at UFC 300 will be, but the best part of the UFC 300 countdown was seeing Guru, LOL. I didn't see the countdown, but I did see on Twitter that he was in the countdown. Congratulations to him, but I'm a little salty, I'm not gonna lie. Where was my countdown shout out? I mean, I'm covering this thing day in and day out. I mean, look, maybe one day, hopefully one day. I also wish it was Aljo versus Max Holloway. It would be a much better matchup and probably could have got Justin versus Islam for UFC 301 if that was the case. And that is a great point. You could have Justin Gaethje versus Islam Makhachev. You could have made that fight. And I think, yeah, Max Holloway versus Aljamain Sterling, that is a banger fight. I would have loved that fight. However, I am excited for the Max Holloway Justin Gaethje fight. Don't get me wrong. I explained this a little bit better in the last video, so you guys should definitely go check that out. I talked about it more in depth there. Final comment I want to read. Someone got to that baby soft skin. Guys, he's referring to the eye. Here's the update with the eye. You guys gotta see last video because it has healed tremendously since then and tremendously since Monday. I did a video on Monday, and yeah, today is what, Saturday? This will come out Sunday. But yeah, the eye is getting better. Hopefully by Monday this thing is gone and we can move on with our life. But guys, thank you guys for watching. If you guys missed the video, it is on the screen right now. Go click that right now and help support the channel, guys. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Make sure the link in the description for the Discord server, and I'll see you guys in the next one.